Jaws. Jaws 2. Jaws 3D followed by Jaws the Revenge. Why did they do 2 more movies when they weren't very successful? I'm John Rentham with By the Numbers, episode 5 on the Jaws movies. If you couldn't figure out it was about the Jaws movies with that terrible, terrible abomination of an intro, my God, I'm just goofy as hell. I don't know what to tell you, but yes, Jaws. Pretty much the first summer blockbuster, if you really want to argue. I mean, you could argue in the comments, but I don't really know what else would qualify. Jaws would lead to 3 sequels of diminishing returns, diminishing quality, diminishing acting, diminishing everything. The first Jaws is iconic. I don't like to throw the word iconic around very much. I could watch this movie once a month and not get bored. Because you have Richard Dreyfuss, you have, Roy Scheider, almost like Rob Schneider. Rob Schneider should get eaten by a shark, by the way, and his supporters should be forced to watch. But nevertheless, the Jaws movies, pretty goddamn great. How the first one was so wildly successful, so naturally they were going to do sequels. But it's actually astonishing. You take a look at the critical reception, the audience reception, the box office numbers. It's really, really astonishing. They managed to get 4 fucking movies out of this franchise when the first one really should have been it. Now, naturally, they were going to do a sequel because boy, oh boy, did the first Jaws make a whole boatload of money. Man, this franchise wasn't finished after that. They couldn't gill this shark off. Okay, I'll stop, I promise. But Jaws in 1975 with a $7 million budget, which is $39.5 million. Yeah, we're doing the inflation calculator deal. I mean, this movie's almost 50 fucking years old, so there you go. And by the way, more By the Numbers episodes will be coming up, including the Psycho movies and the Insidious and Indiana Jones movies eventually, and also the M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong movies, the ones he directed, from 1992 all the way to Knock at the Cabin. Yeah, so let's get back to Jaws. Yeah, so $39.5 million budget in today's money, a $7.06 million opening. So, yeah, I'd call that pretty successful, especially for theaters in 1975. Not that people didn't flock out, but that's a lot of goddamn money. $40 million in today's money. Now, if it had stopped there, okay, would have been pulled after a week or 2 weeks like The Last Shark. Look up The Last Shark, an Italian production that basically was a complete carbon copy rip-off and everything, and hacking pieces of Jaws off to make its own goddamn story that really wasn't much of anything. It made a lot of money, and then got pulled from theaters because Universal said, you copied our shit, and they want an injunction. The Last Shark also wasn't very good. Moving on. So domestic gross, $265.8 million. I mean, massive, massive success. That'd be $1.5 billion today. Domestically. That is how hot, how popular, how insane people were for the first Jaws. $1.5 billion in today's money? Well, let's see how it did, worldwide. Maybe it didn't do all that well. Oh, $476.5 million. So it made another, like, $211 million on top of that, basically. 2.69, nice, billion. Closing on $3 billion in today's money, making a movie about a fucking killer shark. That part where the head fell out of the, into the hull of the ship, still shocks me. You know it's coming, and it still makes you jump. 90% audience reception on Rotten Tomatoes, 8.1 million is what I almost said. 8.1 million out of 10, that would be insane on IMDb. 97% critical reception, so pretty much about as close as you can get. 87 on Metacritic. So the first Jaws, rip-roaring, rip-snorting, insane success. I would get all the movies on Blu-ray, except this is really the only one I can stomach. They're all currently on the cock, by the way, if you want to watch them. And 1975 was a banner year for Steven Spielberg, making this much money. Insane. Absolutely insane. Show me the way to go home because I didn't want a sequel, but I got one anyway. And Jaws 2 in 1978. Now that's unfair because it's a French director whose name escapes me right now. I didn't write it down. That guy did the best he could to not copy the first one, keep the same beats, but make it bigger and bolder. Now that's not the worst idea, and I think that guy actually got a bit of a bad rap because he tried to make a good movie. Jaws 2 is not awful. Except the Screamer. That Screamer girl deserved to die horribly. I mean, absolutely die in the worst way possible because I hated her. I hated her, and the fact she didn't die means that this movie is not nearly as good as the first, and really maybe should have been vilified because you didn't kill the Screamer girl off. And I'm not talking about the actress herself. She could be a Screamer, like that girl in Porky's. How's that for fun? Have fun on seeing that, folks. But the Screamer girl was incredibly infuriating and deserved to die once again. $20 million budget, so they said, hey, the first one's so successful, almost 3 times the same budget. $93.2 million in today's money. Because we're not that far away from 1975, because of 78, so it's only 3 years for those of you that aren't mathematicians. The opening was $9.8 million. Okay, good. The success of the first one meant that we were going to get a bigger return. $45 million in today's money. Pretty good. Unfortunately, the bigger opening did not equate to anything close to the fucking first one. The first one made $265.8 million, right? Domestically. $81.7 million. Now, don't get me wrong, that's still pretty goddamn good, but if that isn't the law of diminishing returns, I don't know what is. Now, Universal had a hit, because that's 4 times the goddamn budget, even with the marketing, it still made its money. That's $138 million today. And the worldwide gross was $187.8 million, which would be basically $878 million in today's money. So it was pretty goddamn successful. But the thing is that was from $476.5 to $187.8 million. And yeah, like they really should have stopped there. They really, really should have stopped there. Because the audience reception was 39% and a 5.8 on IMDb. The critical reception was a lot higher, 62%. I tend to side more with the critics on this one because it wasn't great. I mean, again, the Screamer girl deserved to fucking die horribly. I mean, be eviscerated, have the sharks cut her up with a goddamn butcher knife. But nevertheless, I'd side with the critics more here because actually it was a pretty good movie overall. 51 on Metacritic, so yeah, a sizable drop compared to the first one that was so goddamn great. And couldn't have the iconic opening of the first one, which still haunts me. It proves why you shouldn't go in the water alone, drunk, with a goddamn frizzy afro-haired bastard that's all goddamn high and drunk and stupid. And also why, a lot of blondes tend to, struggle doing anything in general. If you are a blonde woman, I would apologize for this, but I'm not going to because it's about characters in a movie. Jaws 2, successful, but boy, things are sliding goddamn out of control. Like with Jaws 3D, 5 years later, Dennis Quaid was in this. And this was the 3D thing where they're at an aquarium and has shark attacks, and good goddamn Christ, there is bad and there is really, really bad. And this was really bad. A $20.5 million budget. They said, let's add another $500,000 here because apparently the aquarium cost a whole lot more. $62.5 million budget in today's money. Opening was $13.4 million. So they had a hit. They made money. $41 million in today's money. The problem is it only ended up making basically just over 3 times that by the time that the domestic market had dried up. $45.5 million, $138.9 million in today's money. So yeah, even with marketing, it was a mild success. How did it do worldwide? It made about another $40 million, $42 million, $87.9 million in 1983 money, $268.4 million. So it was not even close to what the second one did. And they really should have fucking stopped there, because a 17% audience reception, 3.7 million, or 3.7 million, I did it again, on IMDb, and 11% critical reception, 27 on Metacritic, and I think the critics were too goddamn kind, because Jaws 3 is awful. Now, I did retro-review the first Jaws. I'm going to bring this out just because. I will probably retro-review the second Jaws, the third Jaws, and the fourth Jaws at some point, just because I hate myself and I'm a completionist. But the first Jaws, very iconic. Chief Brody, yes. Ow. Ow. God, if he hit her that hard, that would hurt. Or she hit him that hard. If he hit her, Chief Brody, yeah, bitch! No, okay. Roy Scheider would have never done that. Maybe he would have. I don't know. He's been dead for years. Ooh, turned into Roy Scheider. Ready to fight Captain Kirk. There is nobody that gets that goddamn MST3K reference. But yeah, Jaws 3D. It made money. And I don't want to talk about the next one. Jaws the Revenge. The shark is out for revenge against Brody's wife. That's not how sharks work, folks. I'm not saying that sharks can't go, after people that disrupt their lives. Sure, but it's the son of the shark that was killed. What? I mean, I haven't seen it in years. All I know is Michael Caine got a lot of money for this. You also can never unhear Michael Caine as My Cocaine if you say it right. Have fun. Have fun. Thanks to my best friend Chris, aka the Derbinator, for that. Thank you very much. I will never unhear it. Thank you very much, Chris. But a $23 million budget. So after the third one was not all that successful, I mean, it made money, but still, for a $20.5 million budget, yeah, let's add $2.5 more million there. Let's have Mario Van Peebles for some reason. And I have nothing against him, but they made him really, really act offensive in this. $61.5 million in today's money for the budget. The opening was $7.1 million, which would be $19 million today. So while it was a little bit higher than the opening of the first movie, it was down from the second one and way down from the third one, and that should have been a hint that maybe Jaws of Revenge wasn't a really, really, really great idea. $20.7 million domestic gross, didn't even crack its budget domestically. $55.4 million in today's money, and $51.8 million worldwide, $138.6 million. So it broke even plus a little bit, but even that still was an indication that, yeah, Jaws the Revenge wasn't a very good idea. But don't worry, the audience did not love this. 15%, so down 2% from Jaws 3D, 3.0 on IMDb, and a big fat goose egg from the critics. One of the few films on Rotten Tomatoes that is seen as so bad that nobody has anything positive to say about it except to laugh at it. 15 on Metacritic. So the first Jaws still holds up. The second one is fine. And then the third one and the fourth one are best often forgotten. I expect them to fully reboot Jaws at some point, rendering this video obsolete. But my goodness, Jaws the Revenge. The only revenge was taken upon by the viewers, saying we're going to get revenge by not turning out for this thing. And Universal really should have done a little bit better on this. And by that, I meant not make it at all. Or they should have tried to maybe not have the shark go for revenge and the boy getting his arms eaten off before he dies in the beginning. That was hilarious. See, because I laugh at that shit. But yes, those are the Jaws movies by the numbers, because why the hell not? I got other ones in the pipeline that I'll post occasionally because it's fun. So agree, disagree with what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rentlin. I'll see you soon.